Hello, my name is Vojtech Barta. I'm QA, Agilist, and so on. And on my Huster speech, I would like to talk about basics of reporting. And it will be really about basics, about why we report, how we report, what is the purpose. And you will be capable to apply this knowledge to any reporting activity on your project. So join me in this back to roots of effective reporting. Hello, everybody. My name is Vojtech. I've been in the area of QA and Agile for 12 years. And today I would like to share with you my opinion about the basics of reporting. We will not talk about any concrete report, chart, or any measure, but we will focus on the purpose of reporting, its goals, and ideas that you can and should apply whenever you report about anything. And I will use metaphor of the antique temple. These buildings have three main building blocks: solid foundations, pillars, and roof. And if you would like to build anything, you have to start with foundations. So that is our next step too. So why do we measure anything? It's a simple question, but not a simple answer. At first, I would like to define what is quality, because many of us have a job title called quality assurance. So what do we want to assure? I define quality as satisfaction and happiness of everybody who matters. And we assure it by delivering real value in continuous way at sustainable pace. When we think about any reporting, we should always have this definition in our mind and ask ourselves how some particular report helps to achieve that. So now we have to also define reporting itself. And I like to do it in the same way we use for user stories. So as somebody, I need some information so that I can make a decision. So I do something or I don't, and so on. We just defined the purpose of reporting. So now the fundamental question is if we achieve that goal of happiness or not. But that would be quite tricky with such level of abstraction that is connected with what somebody or everybody. That is why we have to work with our stakeholders to identify them and understand them. And identification of all stakeholders could be sometimes tricky, especially when we use different language describing the same facts. But in general, there will be always two main parties: customer side and delivery side. And there will be some group of individuals on each side. That is more concrete, but still quite abstract. And that is why the second step is to understand these groups of people, and we introduce personas. Persona is a group of people that behaves and thinks in the same way. They have a similar motivation and expectations. Sometimes it can be a bigger group. Sometimes you will have only a few individuals. And there are many ways how to define personas, but I recommend using a simple checklist. It is a list of questions you will ask every individual. And when answers are similar, they belong to one well-defined persona. If not, you should probably split the group into more personas. And some questions are related to the project. For example, why are you on the project? How would you describe the success or failure of the projects? Are you aware of any risks? And so on. But the others are more people-oriented. It could be like, what makes you happy? How would you define quality? Describe your typical day, week, and so on. And if you can be more personal, be build the relationship with them over time, and use it. And this exercise should always end with the question, who should I talk to next? Because I guarantee you that once you are doing this exercise with stakeholders you identified, they will point to somebody you forgot about. So that was our second stone in our foundations. And now we will finally talk about reporting. And people usually think first about numbers. We all know the sentence, numbers do not lie. They don't, but they are quite tricky. Let's have an example. We have a metric. Let's say found bugs during the last sprint. And the answer is number 42. What does it say? We can have different people looking on this report, and there could be different opinions. Somebody can say, yeah, it is reasonable. Somebody else can say, it's too big. The other person can say, it's too small. But the only correct answer here is, I don't know. And that is the problem of numbers. Without proper context and the knowledge, it is impossible to understand them. And that is why kids are much better at reporting, because they are using adjectives. And adjectives are powerful because they describe nouns or numbers, and they help to understand the meaning. We found a terribly high number of defects in the last sprint, 42. So now it is clear. It's not? So use adjectives to describe your meaning. They are very helpful. Our foundations are almost solid, but there is still the last one missing, and it's called context. Context is a collection of facts, inputs, and experience that makes every project unique. Context has to be clear to everybody who works on the project, especially when talking about reporting. Let's have another example. There is a chart like this. It could be defect trend chart. And two different persons receive it, but their understanding is totally different. This lady feels it's okay, but the guy, it's not. He's confused. Unclear or unknown context is very often the reason for such difference. So if you explain the context like this, that there was a starting point, then the increase was, for example, due to some planned refactoring, so the number of found defects is good, then you have much better chance that they will understand it in the same way. And that's our goal. Last thing when talking about context is the fact that people love to compare things. But it's very dangerous to compare metrics over different projects, even if it is the same metric as the number of found defects. Let's say that one team will have 50 defects and the other one 10 defects in last iteration. Which one is better? Without a proper and deep knowledge of their context, you cannot compare them. So our foundations are complete, solid, and we can start building on them. And we will need 4 pillars to support our roof. And they are all mandatory. You cannot compromise any of them. The first pillar is that we want to deliver expected information. Everybody expects that what we say in the report is true. But we often tend, or somebody pushes us, to do not tell the full truth, or to say it in some different wording. For example, the idea that we will report only about critical severity defects, saying that nobody cares about low severity. And that's bullshit. Always deliver full truth. So that was the first one. Pretty simple, but often challenging. And our second pillar is about being efficient. It means delivering the information in the most efficient way. Yes, I am talking about the tools, about the way we deliver the information. And using improper tooling can lead to fatal misunderstanding, like in this picture. Just read it. Words are very powerful in combination with other materials, but they are very weak alone. And that is why one tool is usually not enough. And you have to provide structure and flow, starting with a conclusion, over explanation how to read the report, supported with more data visualization, and provide more and more details people can drill in, but only if they want or need. And remember, if the only tool you have is hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. So don't be a slave of your tools like Jira and so on. Think first and then use tools properly and enhance them by context. 2 done, 2 other left. And now it begins a bit controversial, or maybe just forgotten. So here it goes. Reporting should evoke and address emotions. I know that everybody says that we have to be reasonable, that we should be led by our brain and so on. Yes, the brain is important, but people are emotional beasts. And if we forgot about our emotions, it cannot end well. So let's imagine that we have these 3 individuals. They just received the same report we have sent to them. They study it carefully, and each of them has a different emotion or feeling, if you wish, based on the same report. One is happy, the last one is unhappy, and the middle one is like, no way. So we succeeded to trigger an emotion in all of them. That is a good start, but something is wrong. All of them feel differently. Why? It could be many things. It could be wrong understanding of context. It could be different expectations. It could be wrong tool. It could be cultural differences. And you have to invest time to find out what is the real cause of this disbalance, because your goal is alignment. And in most cases, they should have a similar feeling as you had when you were preparing the report. It means if you are reporting about something wrong, for example, a huge number of bugs, your goal is that they have the same feeling, because you are providing information that should be used for informed decision, and the emotion is an important part of such message. And never ever play with people's emotion. It's easy to fake any report. It's easy to make it look better or worse, but karma is fast, so don't do that. The last pillar remaining, and it is about action that should be triggered by each report. That is why we do it. The goal is not the report itself. The goal is not to make people feel something. The goal is to trigger the action. We as testers usually do not make decisions, and we should not. But we are very good at validation if something is testable or not. So we can apply these skills to validate if the agreed action is testable, maybe the better word is achievable. We can apply all heuristics like SMART+, INVEST, and so on to make sure that the action is well defined, evaluated, planned, and realistic. So that was our last pillar. Nice about this definition is that it creates a good sentence that could be really read as a simple sentence. So here it is. Every report is prepared for particular stakeholders to deliver expected information in the most efficient way, to address emotions and evoke feelings, with the goal to trigger action. At last, but not at least, our temple needs a roof. And the roof is about having an impact. And the impact should be predictable. And the prediction has to be done when we define the action. And the well-prepared report really helps with such prediction. But then, when executed, the impact has to be validated and it should be measured and compared against the expectation. If there is no impact, all our invested energy and time is wasted. Then you have to evaluate the root cause of missing or inadequate impact. And usually there are three main reasons, or one of them. The action was wrongly executed, and you have to do a retrospective and replan it. Or maybe the action itself was wrong, and you have to agree on some other action and plan it. Or your report is just wrong, or something changed, or somebody made a mistake, and you have to start from beginning, or maybe the problem is not problem anymore. So that is it. Our temple is complete. And I would like to finish by a final example. So here is a real defect trend chart from one of my recent projects. And it is daily trend of reported versus resolved defects. So something weird happened around July 27th. If I read it well, more than 100 defects were found in a single day. So I can either take this chart, send it to management and yell about it, or I can apply what we just learned. So let's start. For whom are we preparing the report? So who really cares? In this example, it would be all Scrum teams involved in this project and also project management. We know them, we understand them, so we can continue. Now we have to understand the context. And we were doing a bug hunt on that day. So everybody was testing and we wanted to find as many defects as possible during one day. So knowledge of context now changes everything. So now we have to deliver the expected information. So what were the findings? Okay, we found 2 serious high severity bugs. We found a lot of low severity ones, and we found also new opportunities, some ideas, and we learned a lot about our product. Now we should deliver it in the most efficient way, and the trend chart was not efficient at all. So we prepared a Confluence page with several metrics, starting with the high severity defects, distribution by severity, some other charts, tables, and it was like 5 A4 papers. And now let's talk about emotions. We were happy. We did not break our software by one day. It was quite stable, and we were proud of it. Yes, we found a few high severity defects, but we were also happy about them because it's better to find them soon than later. So what are the actions? Obviously, we had to fix these scary ones as soon as possible. We agreed we will take several of the low severity ones in each sprint to fix all of them until the next bug hunt. And we have a lot of discussion to come with product owners about new ideas and opportunities. So what about impact? It's now a few months since the bug hunt. All high severity ones were fixed. Third of low severity was also fixed. But we are still struggling with a new opportunities discussion. But in general, I would say that the impact of bug hunt and the actions we done, because it was motivated by emotions and it was clearly communicated in an efficient way, we really improved quality of the product, we improve our knowledge, and we know what we should do next. So that's it. We are done. And now it's time for questions.